Hello, dear friends. We, the people, are the rightful owners of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who prevent it, said Abraham Lincoln. Opinion piece. The light has won. Incredible times. Between 2025 and 2030. Final phase of change. We are in the red zone. We need to live in nature. Degradation of big cities. The expected times are coming. Glorious times are approaching. Each one creates his own reality. Being awake is associated with loneliness. Let's start. The light has one in which each one creates his own reality according to Martha. The destiny of humankind is decided. Due to separation of the wheat from the chaff, only fifth dimensional beings will go to this new earth. Everything is expected to be ready, cleared and settled between 2025 and 2030. The long-awaited times have finally arrived. Although it is not yet as visible as everyone would like, everything has been sealed in the Earth's timeline. Many millennia have passed. Many eras have also passed. Hundreds of successive incarnations. And now we are here to be part of this great phenomenon, the transformation of planet Earth. Apart from this great event, which is the most important in the galaxy, it can still stand or fall with the ascension of a part of humankind. Glorious times are coming and nothing will be able to stop what is to come. For this final phase of change, we have entered an immutable timeline. The ancient prophecies of Armageddon will not come true. We are entering incredible times. However, there is still one major obstacle that undoubtedly concerns the destiny of humankind itself. The most crucial moment for humanity has arrived. There are two well-defined timelines. One will take part of humanity to the new earth, and the other will send the other part into exile. One third of humankind will be able to realize and complete the ascension necessary for this transition. The rest will not. In the end, we will have a new cycle and a new earth. No authority is superior to our free will and our decisions. Each one will be his own judge. No one will interfere with the individual preferences of another. Degradation. It seems that technological process, which has affected all aspects of our life, should be good for humankind. But in reality, the opposite is happening. Humans are not only losing spirit, but their mental faculties are awakening. All this forms a link in the chain that has trapped humanity in order to degrade the personality. The Cabal understands very well that it is impossible to control a fully educated and highly spiritual person into an obedient fold. Therefore, their main task was to minimize the educational process and teach people not to think for themselves. As you can see, they have been very successful in this. They have minimized the curriculum in schools and universities, and have managed to distort historical facts and rewrite textbooks to suit their interests. Objective information about fields of knowledge can only be found in ancient literature, accessible only to a few, and in alternative sources of information, and other caring people often ridiculed and sometimes threatened. And yet, many people prefer to ignore this and go with the flow. Only a small number of awakened human beings try to find alternative ways, such as Montessori education, to raise and educate their children and keep their soul and mind pure. Loneliness. Being awakened is often associated with loneliness in modern society. But why do inhabitants of large cities with high population density feel lonely? The main reason is energetic divisions. Imagine the different energies radiated by people in large cities. Not only do they vibrate at different frequencies, but it is much more complicated than that. When there is a large concentration of people, there is a mixture of biological species, different races, beings from different planets and dimensions. And in addition to this natural energetic diversity, the air is filled with emotions and thought forms emitted by all these beings, mostly of a negative nature, since few people manage to maintain harmony and spiritual purity in the hustle and bustle of the big city. To complete the picture, we must not forget the entities of the lower astral plane that feed on the negative energy that floods the energetic space of large cities. What can a person feel immersed in such energies? It depends on his vibrational level. For example, young souls who have just begun to experience life in the three-dimensional world can feel very comfortable in such an environment and is very interesting and new for them. The same can be said of biorobots and clones programmed to live in large cities, as well as of low-frequency beings incarnated in human bodies, whose vibrations resonate with the negative energies of the crowd. But a living human being whose frequency has reached the level of at least the fourth dimension will feel lonely and lost in such a society. He will feel like a black sheep, a stranger, a visitor from another world, and will feel the need to live in nature. Probably many of you have experienced a similar feeling in large cities. But as the old and new worlds are rapidly disconnecting, both energetically and mentally, the same is happening to people who belong to different worlds, with their own vibrational levels and mental components. That is why it is so important to get out of the three-dimensional society, which no longer matches your frequency, your worldview, or your true needs. Only then you can move forward quickly and confidently, without returning to the three-dimensional world you have already outgrown, like a child who has left behind his baby clothes. Reset Pearls. David Lean. We are on the cusp of a major financial reset. Margin calls and panic selling are next. RFK Jr.'s latest and lays out his bold plan to change the food system by rooting out corruption within the agencies meant to protect the public. A wild elephant saw the woman who saved its life 10 years ago, then hushed her. Both beings shed tears, and there are still people who want to hunt elephants. Incredible. According to Kabamur, the ruling class is trying to destroy the human being for no reason. This is the final battle between good and evil on 3D, F, and the final test before the ascension to 5D. According to Kabamur, the dark forces have no real power except that which is given to them by humans, with fear-based beliefs. Those who promote the idea of the soul trap cannot explain where they are supposed to be or how to get out. The credibility of electoral processes faces a delicate situation worldwide, with increasing levels of protest and various threats, said the Institute for Democracy. Severe solar storm. As predicted, a solar wave hit the Earth's magnetic field on Monday, September 16th. The impact caused a severe Class G4 geomagnetic storm with auroras seen as far south as Arizona. The ancient Romans created self-healing concrete 2,000 years ago. The composition of Roman concrete, pozzolan, is well known. volcanic ash and lime, but it has not been possible to reproduce it. Modern concrete only lasts 50 to 100 years. Are we ready for a new international order? That was the question when discussing a new global financial system at the 2022 World Government Summit. The bad guys want a centralized and backed digital currency, while the good guys want a decentralized gold-backed quantum currency. Ariel Proletario 1. We are in the red zone, and everything that happens between now and November 5th and into next year will intensify. People should be alert and prepared for anything that might happen. False flags, shootings, plural, blackouts, collapses, earthquakes, wars, and illegal immigrants. All of these seemingly random things would have to do with the shadow government trying to maintain its power. Therefore, it may need to double down on its effort to stay afloat during this transition period. Economy. Gold hits yet another high, and China holds the key to its continued rise. The dollar remains the main medium of exchange, but is becoming more and more countries who are turning to gold as a store of value. Goldman thinks silver is about to soar. Silver has quietly risen more than 20% over the past 6 months. Copper demand is rising, but there are no new mines. Gold repatriation surges 600% as 32 countries withdraw gold reserves. Rates. Fed set to enter new era with first rate cut in 4 years. Wall Street thinks Fed will cut rates by half a point. Stocks hold steady as well awaits Fed decision. Investors increasingly expect a soft landing ahead of the Fed decision. Opinions. Kitco News. We are entering an era of hyperinflation. ITM Trading. Inflation remains sticky and Europe faces economic challenges. Brace yourself for the biggest global debt meltdown in history. Now is the time for gold. Lena Petrova says a global race for critical minerals is underway as attention turns to Africa's resources. Gregory Manarino talks about a countdown to a massive currency devaluation and a cyclical nightmare of interest rate suppression. Has the bubble reached a tipping point? Asks Karen Kwiatkowski. Morgan Stanley sounds the alarm. As the global economy navigates its way through turbulent waters, the banking sector is in a precarious position. Atlantis report 6 banks at risk of failure, raising fears of instability spreading across the financial landscape. USA. Trump warns of consequences if BRICS abandon the dollar. Trump says US will get along with Russia and China after he wins election. Trump thinks US economic sanctions are killing the dollar. Trump-backed cryptocurrency platform announces new details on token offering. US and Japan near deal to restrict chip exports to China. China. Joe Bloggs thinks China's economy is collapsing. China just shorted the dollar and thinks it will fall in price. Chinese exporters hold $500 billion and the Chinese yuan could rise. This colossal reserve of money now puts China in a potentially powerful position to influence global currency markets. China just helps Iran and Russia sell all their treasury bonds. Sinful. Saudi Arabia wants Chinese renminbi in exchange for oil as BRICS threaten dollar with gold-backed payment system. Europe. Europe increases its purchase of Russian liquefied natural gas to the maximum since February. Putin decrees that his army will have 1.5 million soldiers on December 1st. Russia prepares for war with prayer. Russia is preparing for a spiritual battle, and there are reports that prayers are being recited in preparation for a possible conflict. Spain. The Bank of Spain raises the growth forecast for 2024 thanks to the push from exports. The IBEX adds 4.46% in 5 sessions on the rise and closes at new highs. Renting a home is 83% more expensive than paying a mortgage. The government wants to control and persecute dissident media. The plan for democratic degeneration includes censoring freedom of expression through fines against dissident media and a system that forces them to rectify news they don't like. Americas. The Mexican peso depreciates 1.37% against the dollar and has been falling for 3 weeks. It is said that 60% of Brazil's territory is at risk of fire. 71 earthquakes recorded in 5 days off the coast of El Salvador. Only 6% of Peruvians approve of the management of President Dina Boluarte. Novoa begins his initiative to give the green light to foreign military bases in Ecuador. UN report attributes crimes against humanity to the Maduro government. At least 158 children were arrested in Venezuela in the first protests, according to the UN. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.